Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a radical shift that literally altered the course of history, and honestly, the entire way we interact with the natural world around us. We're talking about what is often referred to as America's best idea, the birth of national parks. You know, we've all seen those breathtaking, sweeping panoramas of the Grand Canyon, or the massive scale of Yosemite's El Capitan, and of course, the erupting geysers of Yellowstone. But how exactly did the U.S. create the world's very first national park system? It for sure wasn't an accident, and spoiler alert, it definitely wasn't the default human mindset at the time.
Okay, let's dive into this. The fundamental mystery we really need to answer today is this: how did we stop conquering the land and actually start protecting it? Because for centuries, all across the globe, the main driving force of human expansion was extraction. It was all about pushing the frontier, right? So what exactly prompted a government to look at a massive, incredibly resource-rich landscape and say, nope, we're going to leave this exactly as it is?
Well, that brings us to Section 1, the exploitation era, and the pre-1872 mindset.
See, before 1872, pristine wilderness wasn't a sanctuary, not at all. It was purely an asset to conquer, clear, and mine for profit. That was just the global status quo. Wild land was wild land until you tamed it. So introducing this wild concept of public enjoyment, actually setting aside millions of acres of pristine wilderness just for everyday people to enjoy, was a completely foreign, unprecedented ideology. It had literally never been done on a national scale before. Honestly, it's kind of hard for us to grasp today just how radical that idea truly was at the time.
So what changed? Let's look at Section 2, Visualizing Yellowstone and the 1871 Catalyst.
You know, ideas don't just change overnight without a massive push. In 1871, a government expedition headed out into Yellowstone territory, bringing along painter Thomas Moran and photographer William Henry Jackson. And wow, the visual proof they brought back literally shocked Congress. I mean, until then, leaders in Washington thought boiling geysers and massive canyons were just, trappers' tall tales, made-up stories. But Moran's artwork and Jackson's photos provided undeniable visual proof of the landscape's sheer majesty. The beauty of the evidence absolutely stunned a skeptical government.
And that visual proof, that was the ultimate tipping point. The very next year, in 1872, President Ulysses S. Grant took action. He signed the Yellowstone National Park Protection Act into law. This was a revolutionary moment, guys. It was a highly experimental conservation law that went entirely against the grain of that conquer and mine mindset we just talked about. With the stroke of a pen, President Grant's signature officially declared this land reserved as a public park.
So the crucial point is the sheer scale of this. 2 million. We're talking over 2 million acres of Yellowstone territory suddenly protected from mining and clearing, and reserved purely for the benefit of the people. That is a massive, unprecedented leap of faith in conservation.
Let's move to Section 3, the presidential push and scaling the idea.
Now, one experimental park was an incredible achievement for sure, but for it to become a permanent institution, it needed champions at the highest possible level. Let's see how this builds over time. We moved from Grant's initial act in 1872 all the way to a pivotal 1903 camping trip where President Theodore Roosevelt and legendary naturalist John Muir basically poured fuel on the conservation fire. This amazing partnership between politics and naturalism eventually culminated in 1916 when Woodrow Wilson officially established the National Park Service to permanently oversee and protect these spaces. The movement had grown from a single, bold act to a fully protected system. We really have to talk about Theodore Roosevelt here, because the movement reached its absolute peak under his watch. Because he was such a deeply passionate outdoorsman, his individual contribution was just staggering. He didn't just sit around signing papers. He established 5 national parks, created 18 national monuments, and protected over 230 million acres. He single-handedly laid the groundwork for the modern conservation map of America.
Which brings us to our final section, a global conservation template and the legacy today. Think about it. When you take a vacation today to watch the stars over Joshua Tree or hike past the gorgeous waterfalls in Zion, you are directly benefiting from that 1872 experiment. Today, the scale of that legacy includes 63 officially designated national parks, plus over 400 other sites across the country that are constantly monitored and protected by the very agency Woodrow Wilson established. And the public demand for these spaces, it is absolutely astronomical.
300 million. That is the number of visits these protected American lands draw annually today. Think about that. Over 300 million times a year, people seek out the wonder, the recreation, and the peace that these protected acres provide. I'd say it proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that the public hunger for unexploited wilderness is stronger than ever. And this brilliantly illustrates the true global reach of the idea. 100. What began as an experimental American law didn't just stay in the U.S. Over 100 nations worldwide have adopted this exact same template to protect their own magnificent landscapes. From a time when wilderness was viewed as just something to conquer, this framework showed the entire globe how to successfully set aside land for protection and public enjoyment.
So America's best idea really belongs to the entire world now. It transformed millions of acres from resources meant for the taking into permanent sanctuaries for all of humanity. But as we look to the future, it kind of makes you wonder, right? If a few paintings and a daring idea in 1872 could spark a global movement, what would be the next great conservation template for our planet? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for watching this explainer, and we'll see you next time.